What's going on, folks? Thanks for checking out a brand new episode of Toys and Tech of the Trade, your one-stop shop for toys, tech, and talk. I'm your host, Rich Butler, and if this is your first time checking out an episode, first of all, welcome. Second of all, a bit of background of what we do here. Toys and Tech of the Trade is an interview series where we sit down with creators and entrepreneurs and discuss the gadgets and gear that they use to create their content and run their business. When it comes to toys, we take a little bit more of a broad definition here, showcasing not only the usual action figures or collectibles that some of our guests obsess over and collect, but also just the toys that put a smile on their face, which don't have to be relegated to, like I said, action figures or pops or anything like that. Could be musical instruments, cars, weapons, knives. You'd be surprised what some people consider toys, and like I said, we like to use a broad definition here. Before we get into this week's guest, a little bit of housekeeping first. First of all, you're probably downloading this episode on a Wednesday instead of the usual Tuesday release. I think going forward, we're going to be shifting towards releasing new episodes on Wednesday in the middle of the week, just from an editing perspective, because a lot of the interviews that we've been scheduling are usually either happening on the weekend or usually at the beginning of the week. And I'd like to have at least one day to account for any issues or mishaps with any audio. So we're going to probably be shifting towards a Wednesday bi-weekly release schedule. We're still going to remain bi-weekly, but we're going to be moving from Tuesdays to Wednesdays, which is a nice break in terms of podcast release for the network, since we're also releasing episodes of Jay Santee's Turnbuckle Tabloid, Josie's Boys Call Me When It's Over, and also Black is the New Black. So by having this more midweek release schedule, it's going to make it easier to just edit and get the content out at a good pace, because again, this is something where even though it's a team effort with all the shows, I handle a lot of the editing. So that's going to be the direction going forward, with Toys and Tech of the Trade being released bi-weekly every Wednesday. So that's the bit of housekeeping for this episode. Now on to my guest. My guest is someone who I've not only been a fan of their work, but also someone who I respect because of the work that they're doing in their community. And that guest is James Lopez. James and I became acquainted after his work with Anthony Frasier for the Phat Startup and their conference Tech 808. And James and I, even though the Phat Startup is no longer active, James went on to start Fatherhood Lit, which is a very awesome endeavor, putting fatherhood first and creating great opportunities and events for fathers out there. James found a niche that was really, really underserved and has ran with the ball, creating an amazing community that not only, again, strengthens the role of the father in a child's life, but also just allows them to have a ton of awesome events. And because of that, as someone who's now a first-time father, it resonated with me quite a bit, obviously beyond us being into sneakers and into tech, et cetera, fatherhood has united us even further. So without any further ado, let me turn it over to James, and you can learn more about the toys and tech of his trade. My guest for this week's episode is someone who I've had the fortune of being friends with for a long time, and now I feel like I'm part of his club, being a first-time dad. He went from tech entrepreneur and organizer to running one of the dopest and freshest groups for dads, putting fatherhood first, presence over presence, the one and only James Lopez. James, thanks for taking the time out of your schedule to sit down with us.
Oh, thank you for having me, man. I'm super honored, man. Long time coming.
So, the Fatherhood is Lit movement, Cool for Dads, which is your website. Let's talk origin story first. When did you decide that you wanted to go in this direction? Because when I met you, you were heavy in the tech space, really emphasizing and putting urban gift wrap on technology for minorities and people of color, and showing them that, it's not just Silicon Valley, but those behind it that are just as equally important, regardless of what race, gender, or color they are. What made you want to go in this direction and embrace, just that movement of parenting and going that route?
To be honest, what led me there was what when I was doing the actual conferences, once we got to the major conferences instead of the smaller, 100 people meetups, I always missed my kids. Like it was always like I wouldn't bring them with me because I was hustling so hard, which is, completely different than now where I bring them everywhere. And whenever I would take them somewhere, I would put up a picture and I would tell my friends, yo, I'm getting my presence over presence time with my kids right now. So I was always mindful that I needed to spend more time with my kids.
Right.
But I was stuck in the hustle, 24/7, just running around from New York to Cali to Atlanta to wherever the hell we needed to go. Once the business started dying down, I had my second child and I realized that they were my everything. They were the number one business that I couldn't fail at. So once that business failed, I was like, you know what? I needed some time off. I don't know what I'm going to do. Maybe I start another tech company. Maybe I join another tech company. Who the hell knows? While I'm doing this, let me just have fun with my kids. So I kept reposting pictures of me and my kids doing things. And I realized that dads were actually asking me, what's next? Like, what's happening this weekend? What's happening tomorrow? Yo, I saw you at Lego. How the hell did you find out about that? And I put two and two together and I was like, yo, you know what? I gotta create something. So my first step was to actually holler at my friend, Premium Pete, who started the whole presence over presence movement. I had bought the URL and I told him, yo, let's do this. Let's do something for the dads. Unfortunately, he was really busy with his podcast and other things, and I had my other tech stuff that I was doing, so we couldn't really launch that. One day I was sitting on Twitter and I put up a picture of me and my kids, and a guy comes up to me and he writes, you're the CEO of Fatherhood is Lit. And that was it. Fatherhood was lit. Fatherhood is Lit was born. Once he told me I was the CEO of Fatherhood is Lit, I went out there and I bought all the domains associating to it. And I said, all right, cool. What is Fatherhood is Lit? Well, to me, Fatherhood is Lit is finding cool things with your kids. Right. So the only question I always ask is it cool for dads? That's where I got the site from. So Cool for Dads is the site. Fatherhood is Lit is the initiative.
That's tremendous, especially because what you ended up doing was taking just real world life, man, and turning it into something. I think the best ideas are born from the best intentions. And I think that as a father, you realized and you were self-aware that you said to yourself, man, like my kids need me more than this conference does, because guess what? This conference won't be here in 10 years, but my kids will.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That was exactly it. Like, I remember sitting down. I don't know if you came to this talk with Ben Horowitz that we had. And that's where I first read the notion of running a startup, is like a family. But he stated in his book, my family is the one business I cannot mess up on.
Nope.
That has always stuck with me, but I just didn't know. It's like these things that like when your kids are born, people tell you, yo, man, like, I don't know what I'm going to do as a dad. I don't know how to be a dad. You just figure it out. It's already inside of you. Same thing with that motto of not letting, not failing my kids or not failing my family. That was already inside of me. I just needed somebody to bring it out.
Now, when you started when you moved into this initiative, what were some of the roadblocks you felt were things that you had to overcome to really take this to the next level? Because like anything else, you start a business and it's like you write everything out, you buy the domain and you're ready to rock and roll, but things creep up, man. How did you streamline and get past all the little stuff to get it to where it is now?
So I had two major things that were blocking me. The first one was entrepreneurship paralysis, where what that means to me is that I came off of the Phat Startup on an all-time high, feeling like I could build anything and anything that I wanted to build at any time. Because of that, it took me a longer time to actually launch Fatherhood is Lit, because I kept telling myself, yo, tomorrow I'll do this. Yo, tomorrow I'll do this. You know what? I'll wait till next week. Wow. So I just kept putting it off. That was the first thing. Second thing that I had was that as a dad, I was looking at other dads and I was saying, all of these dads online are putting pictures of their kids, like selfies with like t-shirts saying dad life is the best life, but they're not actually adding value. What value can I add when I look at these dads and I look at them and I say, I don't really consume fatherhood content. What can you teach me?
Right.
So that was something that I had to really overcome, where I was looking at it and I was saying, yo, I'm not a pro. Like, I'm not the man when it comes to fatherhood. What exactly am I going to teach? Am I a fraud? You know what I mean? And what I realized was that I didn't need to actually know what I was doing. All I had to do was document what I was doing. And that was enough for some people to get inspired and to also learn from. So those are my really two biggest roadblocks. And it took me a while, man. I would say probably like 6 months to almost a whole year to fully believe in myself.
Well, when you switched from, tech entrepreneur, when you shut off that switch and, you became dad entrepreneur, I'm just using that as the word for this. How did you relay that to like your support system, cause as a family man, you come home and you go, yeah, I'm just going to do this. I've met your missus, she's super supportive, super 100. But, how does that conversation play out?
Oh man, with her, it was really easy since she supported me since I quit my job. 5 years into my job, I had a really good career in tech. And when I decided to quit, I told her, I was like, yo, I'm not happy. And she was like, all right, do what you got to do. Figure it out. She was the easy one. The kids were also easy because I promised them that, yo, I'm going to take you to these dope ass events. Y'all going to be the stars of the show. We going to kill it. Kids are always easy. Everybody else that was down with my support system, I kind of like threw to the wayside.
Okay.
The reason I did that was because when I folded the Phat Startup, my support system disappeared.
Wow.
It felt like I wasn't cool anymore. I didn't have access to Gary Vaynerchuk. I didn't have access to RZA. Not the way that my friends wanted it. Not the way that I didn't think that they wanted from me. Right? Where I thought they just wanted me to be successful and happy. Most of my friends just wanted the connects that I had or the plugs. I couldn't give them that. So now they weren't contacting me saying, yo, when's your next event? Or, yo, can you put me in contact with Rich? I heard he got a dope podcast. Put me in contact. I couldn't do that no more. So my support system disappeared.
Wow.
My real support system became my wife, my kids, and as corny as it sounds, God, man. It was just me.
Yep. At the end of the day, that's all you had. But you came out of it. And I think, the toughest part is exactly that. Like having that moment of clarity where you're like, well, damn, everybody that was here from day one isn't here anymore. It's a painful realization. I think that once you did that, did it fire you up? Did you get mad? And you're like, oh, well, all right. You guys aren't here anymore. I'm gonna show y'all something.
Dude, I was tight. I was tight as hell. I looked at them and I said, yo, y'all all losers. Like in my head, you know what I mean? I'm looking at them and I'm like, yo, y'all all losers. Started deleting phone numbers on my iPhone, started blocking people, started taking them off of social networks, anything that I could do to not have contact with them. I didn't care if they knew that I unfollowed them or blocked their numbers. It was all a mental game for myself because I love hard, right? So even the people that do me dirty, I still look out for.
Yep.
So the best way for me to not look out for them is to almost not have them exist.
Yep. It's the people pleaser mentality. I'm guilty of it too.
So now if I'm looking for Joe Blow on my phone because I just want to see how he's doing, guess what? I'm not finding him because I don't know his phone number.
There you go.
Oh, I'm looking for him on social. I don't remember his handle. Done. Now I'm not searching for them. Now I'm not killing my own forward movement.
Makes sense.
And that helped a lot, and it lit a fire under me. But a note to the listeners: sometimes that fire could actually burn you too.
Yep. Where
I was so heated after the Phat Startup that it still took me a whole year to believe in myself to launch something. I kept gassing myself, saying, "Yo, I could do this. I could do this. Matter of fact, I'm gonna do this to show off to this person, or I'm gonna show that person that I don't need them." Still took me a whole year to get that confidence. So don't let it burn yourself. You know what I mean?
Now, one thing, especially now that I've become a father, I've noticed, I kind of feel that a lot of people approach fatherhood, quote unquote, as a job. And I've seen that a lot lately. I've seen a lot of messaging. Like I saw, a friend of mine was like, yeah, man, I'm watching the kids because my wife had to go to a class, and I'm listening to him say this, and I'm like, but they're your kids. Like, you're not a babysitter. You know what I mean? And I feel like that message has become something that's still out there in a lot of ways. And it's one of the things that I applaud you and the group for, is that you don't view fatherhood as a job.
Oh, it's not a duty, man.
Right.
And
that's what kills me, because that messaging is something that's become, I'll hear somebody in a mutual friendship, and they'll be like, yeah, my husband doesn't change my kids' diapers. And I listen to this and I say to my wife, I'm like, but you created that bad habit. That's on you. You know what I mean? Like, you create your own problems.
Yeah.
Or this person's complaining he has to babysit the kids while I gotta go do X. I'm like, but you married him. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy to me. And it's one thing I've always applauded about your message, that you go out there and you say, listen, we have to be present because this is a life we made. It's not a job. It's not a babysitter. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy.
Think of all the jobs you had in your life.
Yep.
Right? Which job was as meaningful as this? And which job did you have the flexibility as much as fatherhood?
Yep.
Like, there's no job that can compare to that. If there's no job that can compare to that, it's not a job.
Yep.
And that's something that I preach to people, where I tell people, the other day I put up a picture of my kids and I playing at a place called Museum, and we're dressed up as spies. And my tagline was, people call this a duty. I call it having fun with my kids.
That's it.
Like, there's a big difference there. And I think once we get off of that mind state where we think like being a father is considered daddy duties, we'll be fine. Like, we don't got to change our lives. Like, we made them, we raised them, right? Gone are the days when it was just the mom staying at home taking care of the kids while the dads worked.
Yep.
Look at me. I left a high paying job, to start a business and raise my child at the same time while my wife was a teacher. She was the breadwinner.
Listen,
it took me a while to get over that.
No, and you know what the thing is, even for me, and I've been with the same company for years, and then they folded up their physical location, so I started working remotely from home. And initially, before my daughter was born, I'm sitting in the house by myself for 8 hours, so I'm going a little crazy. Yeah. And now, as a parent, like I go, my daughter will wake up at noon, I'll bring her downstairs, and I get to have lunch with her every day. My wife laughs because she's like, I'm like, listen, I got to give her oatmeal with fruit every morning. And she's like, oh, well, if we don't have we're out of oatmeal, just give her rice cereal. I'm like, nope. What did I do yesterday? Bought oatmeal. She's like, you're insane. I'm like, nope, this is our routine. We have breakfast every morning. Oatmeal is breakfast with some fruit. That's how it works. And, little things like that. And it's funny because, she's from an old school Italian family, and they'll be like, her older relatives will be like, how's he doing with the baby? Is he okay being home with her every day? And blah, and they're like, and she's like, yeah, why wouldn't he be?
Yeah, he's fine. He's going to adapt. And it's crazy you even mentioned habits.
Yep.
Because that's something that you look at and you say, she needed the oatmeal, right? Like, This is her habit. But in actuality, you needed it too.
Yep.
Because it was your way of setting the stage for the day with your daughter.
Exactly.
Where it's like, I'm accustomed to doing these things with her. I want her to be comfortable.
Yep.
So you didn't change, like, people look at fatherhood and they say, man, fatherhood changed me so much. Like, now I can't do all of these things. How about all the things you can do?
Oh, I hate the handcuffing syndrome. When people become parents, like, it's funny. I went to see Avengers last Friday at 2 a.m. And my wife was telling people like, oh, my husband's crazy. He's going to go see the movie and blah, blah, blah. And people are like, you're letting him do that? And she's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, what do you mean, let him?
Exactly. And like, she, like, like I have she's coming out of work and going with her friend next Tuesday to go see it. And that's it. But everybody's like, you're letting him do that? And I'm like, really? Like, that's a conversation? And this is what I'm saying. And a lot of the stuff that you advocate is exactly that. There's no permissions. There's no guidelines. It's balance.
Yeah, and it's all you. It's all you. Like, like my biggest thing that I push for people is that their presence matters, right?
100%.
That's just a piece of it, because you being present doesn't mean that you got to change who you are. Like, I love technology, right? That doesn't mean that I'm going to sit there with my kids and go do, nothing wrong with Build-A-Bear, but we're not going to be doing Build-A-Bear workshops. Nope. We're going to be somewhere doing STEM, where now my kids can enjoy themselves learning about technology, but I'm also enjoying myself because this is my field.
Exactly.
I don't need to change that much. You know what I mean? You just gotta put like a modifier hat on yourself, right? Where it's like, I love hip hop. Well, I know that my kid is learning how to speak now. I'm not going to play an uncensored version of Tupac all day long.
Nope.
I might slide through with some curses, but it ain't going to be all day long. I'm going to modify it and now give him a clean version because I still want to listen to Tupac, but I don't want him going to his daycare telling the teacher, fuck, bitch, whatever.
Yep.
So I didn't really change my habits or my likes. I just modified them a little bit.
I think that's the one of the driving forces. I think when people become parents, and especially for fathers, because I think that there's an issue, and my wife and I talk about this. It's like you're put in a box, and fathers, it's exactly what you said. You go, you breadwin, you come home, you provide, you fall asleep on the couch. And now there's so many more layers because like I told my wife I want my daughter to learn two things, how to swim and how to defend herself. Those are non-negotiables. Everything else, I'm like, she can learn whatever she wants, ballet, tap dance, I don't care. I'll pay for whatever. But those two are non-negotiables. And I wanted to ask you about that because as a entrepreneur and as a businessman, what are non-negotiables for you, both from a business side and from a parenting side?
Oh man, non-negotiable on the business side?
Yeah.
Business side is I don't like to deal with people that don't want to put in the effort.
Okay.
Right? Where in business you get a lot of people that say, yo, I want to help you do your thing, but what they're really doing is just riding the wave. They're not really putting in the work that you need done. So my thing is always I look at people and I say, all right, you want to help me. How can you help me if my event's already set up?
Right.
If you can't answer that question, then we can't work together. You know what I mean? And that's my number one rule right now, because I'm so busy putting in the actual effort and the actual work that if a person doesn't come in with something valuable to the work that I'm doing, there's no reason for us to talk. They could be the coolest person in the world, but I can't move forward with my things. So why are you trying to join in my things if you can't help me?
Makes sense.
Like a lot of people do it for clout. Right? And then for family, my non-negotiable, I guess it all depends as to where I'm at. But my non-negotiable is I don't like people getting involved with the way that we teach our kids.
That is definitely a pet peeve of mine as well.
So I hate, much love to my mama. I love my mama. I love my dad. I hate the way that they try to enforce their will on the way that I parent.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like my dad is a big sneakerhead. He's an old school dude, loves sneakers. It's funny because when he comes over to my house, his complaints are my son doesn't have enough sneakers. And I'm like, Dad, are you kidding me? Like, who the hell cares about sneakers? You did. I used to buy you sneakers every month. Well, I'm different.
Times have changed and people have changed.
Yeah. And then with my mom, it's always, Jimmy, your son is 12 years old. What is he doing with an iPhone? What is he doing with an Apple Watch? The streets are messy. They're going to rob him. Oh. You keep doing it. You watch. One day he's going to get robbed. Oh, and it's like, come on, Mom. You throwing that up in the air, it's going to happen.
Yep. You put it out into the world, it happens.
So my joke to her is always, if somebody robs my son, I better not catch them.
That's it.
Because I'm the dad that will smile in my mugshot.
Yep.
And she takes it as, oh, you think that's funny? And it's like, well, Ma, you can't live in fear. So I really don't like people imposing their will on other parents. I don't believe anybody has the proper answer or the blueprint. And my parents definitely do not have it.
Do you feel that with the rise of social media now that parent shaming is much more commonplace? Not only obviously in your own circle, but now to outsiders because of that. Like, have you dealt with that as you run your organization?
Parent shaming? Hell yeah, man. Parent shaming is real. Social give and it takes, right? Like, social has opened up the world for like that. Everybody could be somebody and become like a media company. But at the same time, when you're doing that, you put out a picture of you and your kids, like, for example, of dad kissing his son or dad kissing a newborn daughter. Oh man, people hate that. Like, people will start writing, yo, what are you doing? What are you doing kissing your son? What are you doing kissing your daughter? Whatever. Like, that's real.
Yep.
People will also come at you and tell you, all you keep posting is all the good shit. Where's the bad stuff? But when you post the bad stuff, people hate it. People talk trash. 100%. So parenting, bullying is serious, right? And when it comes to parenting, it also applies to that vertical too, where there are parents out there writing, oh, I would never do this with my kid. Oh, I'll never do that with my son. Oh, you a loser. I never see you with your kids in the pictures. Social media is just a glimpse into people's lives, and most of the time they put out the best shit anyway.
Yep.
I think people feel inclined to give up some comments, man, and they like to troll. I
think it's scary too. It's funny you mentioned bullying. When we were growing up, especially because we're close in age and we kind of came from the same backgrounds. Bullying. Somebody bullied you, you'd get the balls and you'd shoot the 5 and that was it. Now, when I read that a 10-year-old child is hanging himself in a closet, man, it breaks my heart because I'm like, yo, have we really come to this?
Yeah,
it's scary, and it's funny because you did an update on social recently about having the talk with your son, and I laugh at that because it's like, see, that's the stuff that exactly what you said. That's not the pretty stuff that people don't want to document, but that's the real stuff that's out there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what motivates me. where I look at a lot of these, my thing started off as an Instagram profile. It didn't start off doing events. It didn't start off with a podcast, email list, none of that. It was a simple Instagram account. And it felt to me like the way I was going to cause a difference was to show all the aspects of fatherhood. Like, we're not perfect. Right. I worry about a lot of things when it comes to my kids. I worry about bullying. I worry about the sex talk. I worry about grades. Why not show that? That's real fatherhood. Like, I see dads all the time, like, put up a shirt, number one dad, and they'll take a selfie with their kids and they'll be in front of the mirror and they'll tell me, yo, James, can you repost this? And they get mad because I tell them, no, I'm not reposting selfies.
Yep.
Like, do something with your child. You know what I mean? Do something with your child, whether it's good or bad. Maybe your child was riding a bike and they fell and now they got stitches. Yo, give me the picture of you in the hospital getting your child stitched up.
Yep.
That doesn't really dictate that fatherhood is lit, right? But it does, because this is part of fatherhood. Like, when the kid falls, you're sad. You run over to the kid. You're like, oh, my baby, I hope you're not in pain, whatever. A day later, you're laughing about it.
Right.
That's fatherhood, man. Like, I don't understand why people are afraid to show it. Especially in this world where everybody talks about being authentic. Like, why are you hiding it?
I think authenticity is something that, when it comes to parenting, it kind of becomes, I want to say that people try and gift wrap and dress it up like it's something that they have to strive to do. And it's like, listen, you should be authentic with your kids, because your kids are 1,000% honest. If you ask a kid, hey, do you like my shirt? They're going to tell you it sucks. There's no villainy behind it. There's no negative connotation behind it. They're going to give you an honest answer. So why can't you be honest with your kids,
Yo, keep it real. Like my son is in middle school. I went to his school maybe like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I met him at the mall and he's walking with his friends. My son is a super nerd, super geek, loves math, loves science, just like his dad, just like me. We geek out over the nerdy things, right? So he's chilling with his little crew. My son is Asian and Puerto Rican. He's chilling with an Asian kid, a kid from India, and I forgot the other kid's race. I think he was Spanish. And they're walking, and another kid is like cracking jokes at them from his school. I don't know this kid. So the first thing I do when I sit down with my son and his friends, I bought them Chick-fil-A. We sitting down and I tell his friends, and his friends all gave me this baffling look. I go, yo, Jaden, is that kid bullying you? He goes, nah. And I go, what did I tell you if somebody bullies you? And straight up, he goes, you told me, punch them in the fucking face.
Yep.
All his friends looked at me like, what? Like, what is this? Like, this nerdy kid is ready to punch people in the faces.
Yep.
And I told all his friends, I was like, yo, if Jaden is with y'all and a kid bullies you and Jaden doesn't do anything to help y'all let me know, because there's going to be a problem.
Yep. And people
this
get
is what I mean by
that.
keeping it real with your kids.
Yep. People get baffled when you say that. Like exactly that. Like, my mother, old school Puerto Rican lady, and she was like, listen, somebody hit you, you hit him back. And people are like, and people get baffled when you say that, because listen, when I was 5 years old, a kid slashed my face with a spork in kindergarten.
What?
And I did the right thing. I told the adult. The adult was like, all right, yeah. They wrote it off. I told my mother. Well, I got home. My mother saw my face. She went to the school. The school kind of gave a lip service. I mean, it's a crazy story, but as crazy the end game out of it was, my mom ended up whooping the kid's mother's ass.
She sounded like something I would do.
Yep. And again, I remember, her and her cousin just whooping this lady's ass. I was in kindergarten. They pulled me in the classroom. I ended up having to go to another school, but it was just crazy. And my mother was like, yo, that could have been his eye. And I thought of what you said about I'd smile in my mugshot. And it was funny because obviously, cops came. This was, 1985 in the Bronx. They come, the lady's like, oh, I'm not going to press charges, because she knew what time it was, and the crazy thing about it was that stuck with me now as a parent. I'm like, yo, somebody puts hands on my kid's defending themselves, period.
Yeah, man. I mean, I put out the caption, I rather talk to the teachers or the principal when my kids are going to be in trouble.
Yep.
Than to speak at the morgue.
That's
right? Like
100%.
Here in Staten Island, like that's, you hear about kids throwing themselves off the train all the time, or standing in front of the train, or killing themselves. These are kids that sometimes have
no way
things
out
that we don't have.
Yep.
but they still fall victim to being bullied.
Which is crazy because, now it's so much social, man, and the stuff that I see happening, it's like like when we were growing up, you'd go to school, you'd have a bully at school or maybe on the block. Now you got bullies, on social, you got bullies in Snapchat, you got bullies on YouTube, you got bullies on Twitch. It's insane.
And they still punks.
Yep.
They still punks. Like, anybody that sees me, I'm small in stature, I'm 5'8", 200 pounds. I'm a small dude. I'm not a muscular dude. I look super young. I look like I'm 14, even though I'm 39. They'll look at me and be like, no way you used to fight these bullies off. That's all I did. Like, I grew up in the South Bronx.
Yep.
Like, I had to. My dad had me in new sneakers every month. So when kids came up to me and told me, yo, what size are you? There was no,
we knew what the deal was.
8. It's a punch right to your nose. I know what you're doing.
Yep.
And that's just the way I was raised. And, I was a straight A student. Same thing with my son. Like, he's a straight A student. He doesn't have to deal with the hood. We got him in a white picket fence area.
Yep.
The dude is in a good school, like as close to a private school as you could get. Y'all better not mess with my son, because if he don't come after you, I'm coming after your parent.
Yep.
That's just the way it is, and I'm down with that. Like, I'm all for it, man. I'm the type of dude that it hurts to say, but I'm the type of dude that when my son holds the door for somebody and they don't say thank you, I'm the one screaming, yo, thank you.
Yep.
Say you're welcome.
Yep.
Like, that's just me. You know what I mean? And I think this world gotten a little soft, man.
I think that's a big part of it, but I also feel that the messages are so mixed because people are consuming so much.
Yeah.
Meaning that, if Kim Kardashian has her daughter in this mini dress, 5 moms want to do the same thing. But, the kid takes her mom's high heels and takes a photo with them, and those are the same mothers like, how are you going to let your daughter do that? I think that the problem is that there's information overload, especially with parents, because like you said, you got your in-laws or older generational folks telling you how to raise your kids. You got the internet telling you how to raise your kids. It's like, just raise them on your own.
Yeah. I mean, it's too many people worried about what others say and what they show.
Yep.
Like I get text messages or DMs from people telling me, yo, you had another event? Like, what's up with school? Like, your kids cannot be doing good in school. And it's like, my man, you don't even know me.
There you go.
You don't know me. Like, if my kids weren't doing well in school or doing the things that they had to do, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be at this event.
Or some of them would and some of them wouldn't, because, hey, your grades aren't where they got to be. You're not going.
Yeah.
Like, it's not difficult.
My whole point with that was, why are you worried about it? You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like in the hood, we have this saying, don't check people's pockets.
Yep.
Right? Same thing with parenting. Don't check people's parenting. You're not the one parenting. So don't check it. Now, if I do something really, really stupid, then come up to me, let me know. Or if you got to call the authorities, cool. Chances of things like that happening are slim to none with us.
Yep.
And I think it's the same for most dads. Like, dads ain't out there looking to hurt their kids or teach them the wrong things. But don't check us either. Give us a chance to teach our kids. And when we fuck up, give us a chance to actually repair that. Well,
it was funny. You put up a clip, and I think your youngest accidentally hit your oldest. And you
it wasn't an accident, bro.
No. But the funny thing was, you put, and that's where it was leading me to. You put that up and you said that, and you're like, I should have checked them, but I gotta laugh. And you said, I'm not perfect, mess up sometimes, but it was such a well articulated, simple thing that spoke volumes to me, because it's like, hey, don't do that, but you gotta laugh, because it's like, you can't be disciplinarian 24/7 either, Yeah. Like, he caught you, ha ha ha, but don't do that again. Should follow that.
Also, you got to look at situations like that, and you got to say, this is a teaching moment for all of us.
Yep.
Right? Because that was my littlest one. My youngest one is only 2.
Yep.
You know what I mean? He swung on my 6-year-old.
Yep. My
6-year-old swings on my 12-year-old.
There you go.
So the main lesson for my 6-year-old was, yo, don't turn your back no more. Little man is wild.
Yep.
He has a weapon. Do not turn your face, because the same thing you do to your older brother, he's going to do to you. It was one of those situations where I could have messed up my little one and been, maybe spanked his hand and told him, don't do that anymore. But the real lesson had came to the middle child, which is, yo, stop sleeping. Where we come from, we don't sleep.
Well, this brings me to something, and I want to definitely use this to kind of bring things into perspective. Where do you stand as a father with that? Like you just said, you hit your kid on the hand. Where do you stand with that in general? Because there's always a big conflict about discipline. Like when the father makes his son wear the sandwich board because he was a bully and makes him walk to school and, you know, X, Y, and Z. And everybody's like, oh, you shouldn't do that or blah, blah, blah. You know, how do you let's talk discipline as parents. And I want to put that out there just not only for you to answer it, but just in general. What's your viewpoint on how to approach discipline?
So I came from a family that my dad never touched me. My mama, on the other hand, she would try. And whenever she would try to get me, I would run to my dad and my dad would cover me. He would hide me and tell her, yo, don't hit him. Like, that's not going to work. He never believed in the spank.
Right.
I'm different. Once again, I'm not perfect. I'm different. I look at my kids, my oldest child, I barely ever had to spank him or scold him. My middle child, that dude is a beast. He needed a spanking every now and then. Now, where I set the limit is two things. I will never hit him like I'm hitting another man because I don't want to hurt them, right? And it comes to a point when, especially if you have boys, once they're like 2, 3 years old, you can't hit them hard enough. Nope, they don't feel that shit.
Nope, that don't work.
Like, they'll cry because they're embarrassed, but they don't feel that shit. I'm not marking my kid. I'm not breaking my kid's nose. Nope. So that's dead. Second thing that I will not do with the disciplining is I will not embarrass my kids. I am not the type. I remember seeing a video of a dad that was mad at his kid. I don't know what he did. Maybe he bullied. Maybe he forgot his homework. I don't know what it was. And he gave him a fucked up haircut.
Wow.
And sent them to school with a real messed up haircut. And all the kids were mocking him and joking around and putting him on social and all that. That's a no-no. Because what you wanted to do, which was discipline your child, you did it.
But you embarrassed them for life because that now exists on the internet.
Now this is on the internet for life, and it leads to bigger problems with bullying.
Yep.
Now imagine that same dad cuts that kid's hair, he goes to school, and now a bully picks on him, and now the dad comes, beats up the other dad, and he goes to jail. Who started that whole sequence?
That's right.
It wasn't the kid's fault. It was your fault. You wanted to embarrass your kid, and you succeeded. You embarrassed them. Now somebody's picking on them. Now you're gonna revert and go protect them? Doesn't work like that. So those are my two things. If you got to spank them, spank them. Just don't spank them like if you're spanking another dude because they don't feel it. And if you hit them hard enough, the repercussions are going to come right back to you. And I don't mean by jail time. I don't mean by police. You're going to feel like shit.
Yep.
Imagine you smack your kid and you see a handprint on his butt. After a while, you're going to look at yourself and you're going to say, damn, I'm a dick. Why did I do that? Like, it wasn't that serious. You know what I mean? So those are my two things with discipline. Do what you got to do. Don't embarrass them. And never hit them harder than you would hit like the next person. Don't try to fight them. This is not a war.
No, it's definitely not. So then how do you tackle it then when you have to address discipline? Let's say with your oldest. How do you handle it with your oldest if you had to address something from a disciplinary standpoint?
Oh, I hurt him. And I don't hurt him physically.
All right.
My kid is 12 years old. He's in that stage where it's show off stage. Yep. He has an Apple Watch. He has an iPhone. He loves Wi-Fi. He loves Fortnite. Guess what? Get on my nerves. All that shit is gone.
Yep.
There's nothing more embarrassing. You know, we talked about not embarrassing your child.
Right.
This is embarrassing. So you got to bend your rules a little bit, right? Because when he goes to school, all his friends are looking at him and saying, yo, what happened to your watch? My son is going to tell him, yo, my dad took it. I hope he tells him the truth, which is my dad took it. He's going to be embarrassed, but it works. I cut off Wi-Fi. I cut off the phone. It's crazy. One time I took away his phone and he came to me and my wife and he goes, oh, man, I got in trouble. All you guys ever do is take away my phone. I was like, oh, word? That didn't really hurt you. Give me a watch. For some reason, the watch hurt him more than the phone.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
For a whole week, he's like, Dad, I do really good in school. I messed up this one day with you. Can I have my watch back? Dude, you can't use your watch unless you have your phone.
Yep.
I still don't get it, but that hurt him. So my way of disciplining him is taking away the things he loves. Same thing with my other kids. Well, my second kid, the 6-year-old, same thing. Take off Wi-Fi. Don't let them watch Netflix. Yo, threaten them. We're not going to Disney this year. Oh, forget about it. Those crocodile tears really come down. And then the little one, man, I don't even hit him no more. What I do is, like, if he's in front of me, I wrap my legs around him and I just hold him there for like minutes. Yep. He gets so mad because he can't get out.
Gotta do it.
That does it way more than smacking him, because when I smack him, you better believe he'll cry for like a minute or two and then he'll go right back to doing it. Yep. Well, what am I going to do then? Pull him by the ear? I'm not doing that shit.
Man, you know, it's funny you mentioned pulling by the ear. I remember the old squeeze the back of the earlobe. when the parents talk to you with the clenched teeth. Don't make me have to take you outside.
Yeah, I brought you into this life. I'll take you out.
You know, and I wanted to have that conversation with you because I felt that that's something that causes a lot of discord amongst parents. It's that how do I approach discipline? And then going back to what you said, everybody has their take on it, and everybody's take, oh, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that, and, you know, my way is the best way. And it's like, you know, at the end of the day, you know, as long as the message is conveyed, you're doing the right thing. But like you just said, the embarrassment of it, especially in the era of the internet, it just sticks. Like that kid that's wearing the sandwich board, it's like, guess what? If I look up bullied kid with sandwich board on Google, guess what? That kid's photo is there.
Yeah, and it sucks, man, because you're gonna look back at it and you're gonna say, what was I thinking?
Well, the other thing too is part of the blame also the fact that the parent is going out there and promoting it on social media and putting it on Facebook?
That makes you question his motives.
Gotcha.
Like, were the motives to teach your child something, or were the motives to show people that you were about that life and teaching your child something? Like, I have a feeling that a lot of people that do those embarrassing things online and document them, I have a feeling that they do them for the likes and the views, you know, the acknowledgement. Like, I have a feeling that somebody there, one of their friends is writing back to them, yo, that's the way you do it, dogs. And they're looking at it and saying, that's right, I'm the man.
Yeah, like I saw a YouTube video of the guy, I think he smashed like the kid's Xbox. And, you know, obviously it's on YouTube. It went viral, and it's just him taking the Xbox outside, and he put it on like a chopping block outside and chopped it, and the kid's like screaming. And I'm like, who wins in this scenario? Because if you bought it for him, now you got to buy him another one when the fire dies down. Like, who wins here? And
that's what I'm saying. Like, what did you do it for? For the likes? Yep. Like, did you do it for online? Because to me, that's what it seems like. It doesn't seem like you did it to discipline them. Because, you know, once again, when I take away my son's Apple Watch or his phone or whatever, or shut off the Wi-Fi, we're not throwing that on YouTube. We're not throwing it online. That's an internal thing. You know what I mean? That's you got on my nerves. Now I'm going to get on your nerves. You know what I mean? I don't when I discipline my kids, you won't see it because that's for us.
Makes sense.
You know, that's for us. You know, that's for us. That's the privacy of the home. I think a lot of people want to show off that they're good dads by disciplining their kids online. Yo, there's better ways to do that.
Yep.
Show yourself at the Donuts for Dads. Show yourself getting their report cards when 95% of dads don't even show up to pick up a report card. That's how you show you the man.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Like, that's what I show.
My mother said my mother never did one single parent teacher. Mm-hmm. What she said was, they don't need to see me. And if you have to see me at school, it's going to be for something not good.
Yeah, it's a problem.
And it was weird because, you know, like, she never went. You know, they're like, oh, is your mom coming to parent teacher? I'm like, nope.
But it works.
And it's strange, you know, because, you know, like I was telling you before we started recording, like my sisters, they go to, you know, special needs programs for adults. So, you know, they kind of get report cards, but it's a little different. And they'll be like, oh, are you going to come in? I'm like, why? I'm like, we can have a phone conference and accomplish the same thing. You don't need to see my face.
Yeah. No. You know, I believe in that too, because my wife's a teacher.
Right.
So since she's a teacher, when it's parent teacher night, she can't be there because she has to take care of her students.
Right.
So I'm there. The only reason I go is because, you know, I love to ask questions. Right. So I'm in there asking them questions, but I also like to know who the hell is around my kids. Right. Yep, 100%. Besides that, I believe with what your mom said. Like, I remember one time they called my house for my middle child. He didn't have his uniform pants. His school changed the policy for uniform pants, and my son loves to wear sweatpants. So he was wearing his blue sweats without the name of the school. The principal called my house. Mind you, my son is, you know, one of the top performers at the school. Oh, right? Man. So she called my house and my wife spoke to her, and I hear my wife screaming, and I'm like, you know, my wife isn't like that. What the hell's going on? Come to find out, the principal called my wife and told her, hey, you know, Jaden Lopez, he might get detention if he doesn't wear his pants. My wife's a teacher, UFT member. She looked at the rules. She broke it down to the teacher and told him, the first thing she told him was, first of all, this is not in your rule book, so you shouldn't be calling me for this. Second of all, why is our first encounter a negative one when my son has been in your school for 2 years and is one of your top students? Why didn't you call me for something good, but you want to call me for something bad? Like, it just doesn't make sense.
That's crazy.
And that's the same way I feel about report cards, where it's like, yo, don't give me that great progress report once or twice a year. Maybe there's a better way to communicate that. Like, I don't need to do that. Like, sometimes I don't feel like I want to go to the report cards, but I go because I need to show my face, right?
Right.
But I also believe that, yeah, if we need to go to see your teachers, then something might be wrong.
Right.
Because when I go with my son, every teacher gives us 5 minutes. I hear the same shit over and over again for 3 or 4 minutes.
Great.
Yo, your son is a model student. Next year, we want him to take Regents classes. We suggest that he goes to a specialized school. I don't need to hear that from 10 teachers.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So it all depends. But that story when my wife told the principal, don't call me again for negative things. I kind of like, it was funny to me because it was true, where it was like, yo, y'all never celebrate all the good shit that they do.
Yep, it's true.
But you want to call us over a fucking
pants
uniform that you changed the policy mid school year? Come on, get that shit out of here.
That's I want to talk about this entrepreneurial journey for you. You know, how's that carried over to your kids? Like, are your kids interested now in, starting their own business, being their own boss, especially your oldest, because he's absorbing so much from you, because I see him with you pretty much at everything.
Yeah. I mean, that's a beautiful and much needed question, and something that I love to answer, because coming from entrepreneurship, my dad told me, don't chase that. He told me when I came out of school, I worked really hard, gave you a foundation, go to college, go make yourself your 75 to 100 grand.
Yep.
You live in New York City.
Checking off the boxes. Yep.
Checking off all the boxes, right? Go do that. When I quit my job, he was the one that I was most fearful of telling.
And
it was funny when I told him, Dad, I quit my job. He was like, oh, good. I knew you would do that. I knew you were going to chase your dreams somehow. So It was kind of like weird, right? But now with my son, I love it because he's part of the company. Like, at first, he used to just come with me. Now, when we host events, I grab the mic and I make him say something. Where it's like, yo, Jaden, you are the co-CEO of Cool for Dads.
That's fantastic.
You have to do these certain things. So now he's looking for a photographer. He's looking for a video guy. He's making sure that I have my ads up. He's making sure that the events actually suit his friends.
Wow.
Like, he's trying. And all he always tells me is, Dad, we're going to make it. So it's kind of dope to sit there with him, and he gets to see it from the beginning, where it's the hardest, and hopefully he sees a brighter future with it. I think that's kind of dope. Like, I think for fathers, the best way to teach your kid anything is for you to do it yourself, right? To lead by example. Once you have that, once you're leading by example, include them. I don't lose anything by including him in my business. On paper, I'm the CEO. I'm the sole founder.
That's it.
In my world, he's the co-CEO.
That's it.
He's working. Same thing with the rest of my kids. I put all three of them in front of me. Like, we did an event with Home Depot in the school, and I saw the parents, and they all looked nervous. They didn't speak English, mostly Spanish dads. I brought my son up there, and I switched it to Spanish. I can't speak Spanish really good, but I'm sitting there with my son, and I'm telling all of them, this is my son. He's my co-founder. Like, whatever you're doing outside of school, make sure that you do it with your kids. And the dads caught on to that, because I led by example, which is, I'm not just saying he's helping me. He's giving you the paint. He's the one telling you how to build this. He's telling you, are you okay? Well, I just saw you hammer your finger. Do you need medical attention? You know what I mean? Like, I think by me doing this and including him, whether he's doing videos for me, whether he's doing a picture, it's awesome, bro. Like, he's learning way more than I learned. Like, my thing was, growing up as a youngster, was hustling.
Yep.
I learned from the corner boys. That's it. He doesn't have that. He doesn't need that. He got his dad teaching him about stocks. I got him teaching about housing. Like, whenever we go pick up a rent roll from somebody, guess who deposits it? I don't deposit it. My son does.
That's right.
Now he knows the value. It's like, oh, Dad, we got X amount of dollars. I'm going to put it in the bank. Can I take out X amount of dollars for me? Hell no. I
saw when the video, the photo, when you were talking about sending them to do the ATM and to learn the ATM.
Yeah.
And, again, another thing that, again, I don't message you a bunch of times to big you up, but it resonates with me because one of the foundations that we lack now is all those basics. Like, when we were in school, think about it. We didn't learn how to fill out a W-2.
Hell no.
We
still don't know how to fill that shit out.
Exactly. We didn't learn how to do that. We didn't learn how to set up a bank account, how to balance a checkbook. We didn't learn any of that. We don't, home ec is a lost concept. Nobody knows how to cook.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because all those fundamentals are things that, we can leverage to teach our kids. Like, my mom taught me how to cook and my brother how to sew.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it worked. Cause, I'm all thumbs and a bowl in the china shop. She's like, yeah, you can. But you can cook. And that's just what it was, you know, and it's funny because she's like, I'm going to teach you how to cook so you don't got to wait on no woman to cook for you. And I was like, well, all right. But it's great because when I saw that and I saw you sending your son to the ATM, I said, he gets it. He knows what time it is. And again, it's a generational thing. Like we're kind of covering the same fabric. So, you know, it's like they don't teach him that. Like right now, your kid's taking advanced Regents classes, doing all this stuff. But if you tell this kid, your son fill out this job application, you know he's going to be like, Dad, what do I put here? You know?
Yo, the W-2 right now will confuse the heck out of him, man.
Yep,
you
and
know?
he's getting into that age where he could do like summer youth employment. I think I started when I was 14.
Yeah, I think it's like 14, 15. Yep. And he's going to do that. Yep. You know, the only difference is that instead of him doing summer youth with the New York City organization,
right?
I'm gonna send him to one of my tech friends. It's like, yo, go intern over there, and you guys don't gotta pay him. I'll cover his stipend, you know, the transportation, whatever. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And it goes back to what you were saying. It's all about the foundation. So when it comes to the ATM and money talk, when I was younger, I had to actually watch my dad pay for a credit card. When you don't have credit, I don't know how many people know this. When you don't have credit and you go to a bank,
yep,
the bank tells you give us $500, your credit limit will be $500 for the year.
It's secured.
It's secured. It's a secured credit loan, right? So you have that after the year. Now you build up your credit. Now you don't got to give us $500. We'll give you $1,000 limit.
Yep.
So I saw my dad do that when I was like 15 because he always had money, but he never had credit.
Yep.
So I saw him start building his credit. He gave me his credit card. Cool. I went to school. I started learning about stocks. This is when Microsoft first came out, Nike, all of that. I told my dad, yo, Dad, $500, buy us some Microsoft stocks, please. This is going to be a company. I love computers. This is going to be great. This is when Windows 95 was out. My dad told me, hell no. I worked hard for that $500. I'm not giving it to you. What the heck do you know? I didn't understand that at that point.
Yep.
And I was really pissed off at him because right now we would have been rich, right? Instead, I look at it as, yo, my dad set the foundation. He gave me an education. He worked hard for me to get an education. He taught me about credit and compound interest. He wasn't ready for me to teach him about stocks. But my kids are now ready for that because I already have that foundation.
That's right.
So now instead of just teaching them about compound interest and credit history, I'm actually adding another component, which is, yo, go pick up our rent. Yo, Jaden, do you like this stock? Let's buy some of those. You know, like I included him in my Snap. Like I bought a big stake in Snapchat. Maybe like 3 or 4 months ago, Snapchat dropped to like $6. I sat down with my son, who's 12 years old, and I go, yo, son, how do you communicate with your kids, with your friends? And he told me, we only use Snapchat. What's Facebook? What's Instagram? What's Tinder? He doesn't know these things. All they use is Snapchat and iMessages. I already own Apple. Well, let me go buy some Snapchat. And I explained to him why I was buying Snapchat. I'm buying Snapchat because you're 12.
I'm securing your future.
You're using this every single day. Chances are when you're 18, Snapchat is still here. So here's your future. Whether we make a ton of money off of it or not, now you actually get to watch it progress.
Yep.
Come back to me with your questions.
That's what's up.
So you lay down your mom came through. She laid down a foundation for you. Now it's your turn to take your foundation and add another layer to it.
That's it.
Then your kids are going to come through. They're going to add another layer to it. Yo, that's how you create generational wealth. And I don't mean that by money.
Nope.
I mean just by intelligence.
It's true.
You know what I mean? Like my dad never wanted to buy a house. Because of his foundation, at 26 years old, I bought my first house. Because of him teaching me about compound interest and how to leverage things, 27, I bought another one. None of that would have happened if I didn't have that first initial foundation. He gave me that. Now my kids could take what I got and expand on it. Even if I lose in the business game, I already won.
Yep, you're winning in the life game.
Yeah, my kids are straight, man. I'm about to be 40 years old. Well, I'm gonna be 40 next year. Like in realistic terms, I might have another 40 years of my life.
You know what's crazy?
It's already done.
I heard a podcast about it, and it was a dude. He was similar age like us, and he was like, "Yo, man, He told the host, "I want to die when I'm 88 years old." Mm-hmm. And he goes, "That would be X date. I'll be 88 years old on my 88th birthday." So the guy was like, "Really?" He goes, why are you writing that down? And he goes, "Because it's a reminder that that's how much time I have left."
Yeah.
And it's crazy because, you know, I was talking with a buddy of mine, you know, like you and I are in an age now where like childhood heroes, stuff we grew up with, it's dying.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, hey, you know, the Nipsey Hussle or, you know, big Tupac, like that was when we were younger, but now it's like, you know, it's not just random celebrity, but like in our own circle, you
People
know, like,
close.
yo, like, hey man, I went to high school with this dude and he's got cancer and he's dying. Like, yo, like that. And it's just crazy because now we're in that window.
Yeah.
And it's scary, you know, because then you have to talk to your kids about it and be like, listen, you'll get there too, you know, and that road takes time. And, you know, now like children don't get to experience too much loss. So they're not molded by it like we end up being when we get older.
Yeah. No, they're soft now.
Yep.
Hey, let's be real, but they're soft for a reason.
Yep.
And the reason is we all progressed. You know, the hardships that you had growing up, you don't have your kids involved in that hardship anymore.
That's right.
So, you know, it's for a good cause, but at the same token, like, what do we do to keep them hungry now? You know what I mean? Like, what's next?
Yep. I think that's the scary part, you know, like my nephew's in his 20s. I'm like, listen, man, you know, you'll never know what the crack era of New York was, where, you know, your parents would be like, don't play in that grass. There might be needles in it. You know, and it's those type of things that, you know, I'm grateful for the progression. You know, when people complain about, you know, gentrification, I tell them, I'm like, do you want to live with a shootout every other day on your block? Because if you do, that's great. I don't, you know, like, and the beauty of parenting, especially, is that your kids get to enjoy those benefits. And like you just said, you can't put a price tag on that.
Nah, man. If, you know, I get hit by a car today, like I'm not happy being gone, but I'm happy to know that I've set something up for them. Like I've set a foundation.
That's right.
You know, where now hopefully I could be that dad that when they're walking around and thinking about doing something, they'll say, what would dad think? Not what dad would do, but more of what would dad think about this?
That's right.
Because I don't want them doing what I did. I just want them to think, you know, and that's something that we're, especially with the age of the internet, we're kind of taking that away. Like it went from, you know, it's kind of crazy because back in the days, I used to tell people, yo, stop asking me business questions. Like, you know, people would ask me, hey, how do you incorporate? I'll be like, yo, go to Google.
Yep.
Go to Google. We don't got to do that no more. But that don't necessarily mean that our kids are willing to go look for the answers either.
Nope, because now you could do a book report just off a Wikipedia entry.
Yeah, or ask Siri. Or ask Siri, yo, Siri, who's Derek Jeter?
Yep.
And just write everything down.
Yep.
Like they're getting lazy. You know what I mean?
It's crazy.
And it's up to us. It's up to us to kind of like kill that. So, you know, for me, it's like with my son, like he was having trouble with ELA. I gave him the books that I read. You know, I gave him the Gary Vaynerchuk's. I gave him the Alexis Ohanians. I didn't give him that to teach him something about business. I gave him that because I could keep up with him.
Yep.
Now, when he reads a chapter, he can't lie to me.
Right.
And be like, yeah, Alexis Ohanian started Nike. No, he didn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like he started Reddit. I read that book, dude. You know, like that's how I'm starting to like, how I'm starting to like chase along with this journey or ride along with this journey, where it's like these kids are growing faster than we did. But in different ways. Like you and I, we had to grow up quicker than our kids did.
100%.
Being in maturity. They don't have that, but now they succumb to other problems. We didn't have to deal with the internet bullies. Nope. They do. So now it's up to us to teach them how we used to deal with the in real life bullies, and now how you're going to have to deal with it.
That's right. Now,
it's all foundational, man.
Now, you know, with that said, now that you've been running, you know, your business for a while and you've been building it gradually, what's, you know, now in this age of technology, I'm assuming you pretty much run your business off your phone.
For the most part, yeah.
Yep. Like, and that's the next part I was gonna, you know, being a tech person, the fact that you're running an entire business on your phone and you're connected gives you, obviously affords you more time to spend with your kids. How do you separate at one point though? When does business James shut off and dad James take over?
Oh man, my wife hates it because, you know, sometimes she'll come home and she'll use the phone when I'm not. And I'll tell her, yo, I'm the tech guy. What the hell are you doing on your phone?
Right.
Right. So I cut off, man. Like today my kids will be home around 2:00. We have a Lego event at 4. 2:00, I'm done.
Okay.
Business James is done. Shut down. The most you're going to get from Business James today is a post after our Lego event telling people, yo, today was the Lego event. It was a special build, Star Wars build. If you guys made it, tag me. That's it. You're not catching me no more. You know what I mean? And same thing on the weekends. The weekends, I'm not doing emails. I'm not writing. I'm not doing anything. The most I'll do on the weekends is make sure that my post for the day is up on Instagram. because Instagram seems to be like my biggest driver.
Yep.
And that's easy. That's easy because we're always doing something. So all I got to do is document my life.
Which is a piece of cake.
It's a piece of cake, man. Like Saturday, this month we have Saturday. Saturday we have Home Depot in the morning. We have Wu-Tang Day. We're getting a Wu-Tang district in Staten Island. And then we're getting Star Wars Day in Barnes and Noble. That's 3 pieces of content that I'm going to put up that I didn't have to force because I'm already going to be there.
Gotcha.
I'm going to be at all 3 events representing for dads with dads. That's easy. Business James, that's the easy part. That takes up maybe 10 minutes of my whole day to post those 3 pictures. Once my kids are home, it's over, man. You ain't catching me. You ain't catching me unless we have something in the calendar. Nice.
And all the content that you're building, you're writing all the blog posts and you have your contributors and you're structuring that out. So do you basically pre-plan like right now, it's May 3rd. Do you wake up and go, okay, for May we're doing this, and this, and this, and it's already structured out?
When it comes to the content side,
yeah.
Nah. On the content side, it's whatever comes to me. Like for this weekend, we'll do Home Depot and Lego Star Wars, Star Wars Day. So I'll probably write a piece of content on Star Wars Day, simply because we're doing 2 events with it.
Gotcha.
But usually it's whatever come up. Like one day we went to Philly, we went for vacation, and we went to eat Philly cheesesteaks. And I remember buying one, and I remember my son, my middle child, telling me, I want one too. And it was like a reminder of equal rights, where it was like we bought one for his brother, he wants one too, and we forgot to get him one. So next thing you know, I'm writing a content about equal rights in kids because we forget. You look at your older, like when you got multiple kids, you look at your older one and you say, all right, I'm going to buy him a pair of sneakers. My middle one doesn't care about that.
Yep.
Next thing you know, your middle child's telling you, yo, me too. Like, what's up? Where's my kicks? You can't buy him something and not buy me something.
I'm so glad you said that because growing up, we had the rationale in my house was my mother was like, yo, if I can't buy for one, I'm buying for none.
Yeah, I agree.
And to hear you say that's a tough thing to juggle. And I'm glad that, you're self-aware with that, man.
It's a fight. Like my oldest son, Brainiac, we're paying for his tutoring for he could take a specialized exam, right? He has to take it next year. That specialized exam, the tutoring is about $2,000. So when my middle child is having trouble with the ELA, first thing I look at my wife and I tell her, yo, if we're going to invest $2,000 into my son's future for him to go to a specialized school where he could go to a public school, we better have $2,000 for my middle one to get some Kumon training. That's how I justify it. If we can't provide for my middle child, my older one ain't getting it either.
Now, on the subject of money and monetization, how many challenges have you faced, especially, when you're trying to present this to brands? Have you had an easy road, a hard road, or a mixture of the
a mixture of the two? Some brands, luckily for me, when I'll hit them up, I'll tell them, hey, I want to do work for you guys. This is, X amount of dollars it's going to cost us or whatever. They just get it. And they say, yo, we never get dads to do this for us. Let's do it.
Nice.
Then I get other brands that they'll tell me, who cares about dads?
Wow.
Like, can you really get dads here? Like I did Double Dare. When I hit them up and I told them, hey, I need tickets for me and maybe 5 other dads. I need VIP tickets. The lady actually wrote to me, we never get daddy bloggers.
Yep.
I don't like to be called a blogger.
It's scary.
That day I was.
Yep.
Because she gave me 5 tickets for dads and we created dope memories. We all were on the show. But then I'll get like a group that you look at and you say, they're just like me. They're my color, right? My nationality.
Yep.
They're going to get it. And then when I talk to them, they don't get it.
Wow.
And like they'll straight up tell me, who needs more dads here, or dads ain't going to come to this event. We prefer mamas. Another thing that I'm finding is that when you do dad initiatives, I would say more than like 75% of them are actually ran by women.
Really?
So that could be beneficial, and it could also be bad for me. Because sometimes I'll go up to a place and they'll tell me, once again, we don't get women to do this. I mean, we don't get men to do this. It's always women. But then other times they'll be like, nah, you're not a woman. I actually prefer her because we know they could do it.
So you get gender bias.
I get gender bias, man.
Really?
Like dude, I've had women come to my event and call me a straight up asshole because I don't let them in.
Are you serious?
Yeah, because to certain people, there's no division between fatherhood and motherhood.
Right.
But we know that there is this stigma there. So sometimes 100%. Like I'll get like 2 months ago, I had a Chinese lady run up into our event cursing up a storm. There's kids here and she's cursing up a storm because she couldn't get in. And I had to tell her, I was like, this is for fathers only. And she was like, that's wrong. Like that's unfair to women. And it was like, yo, but nobody ever caters to dads.
Nope.
Let us do us. And then you'll get other women that'll be like, yo, James, you doing this for dads? Yo, how do I contribute? You need money to do this? I just want my husband to go.
That's pretty cool.
So it all depends. It's sometimes they get it, sometimes they don't. It's all the hustle and the grind. Like right now, when I'm looking for people to podcast with, like I don't want to launch my podcast until I have about 5 or 6 interviews.
Yep.
I got 2 now. I have specific people in mind because I want to do something special for the first set of them. I still get those responses of, yo, who the hell cares? Like dads don't need to hear this shit.
That's insane.
So it's still a stigma there, man. So, doing business in this world isn't easy. Making money in it, it's a lot harder.
No, and those type of situations, do you share those with your kids, or
yeah,
how do they look at that? Because now it's like, hey, we could have done this cool thing, but we can't because this company doesn't want. How do you balance that? Because obviously there's a part of you that you want to be petty, you know what I mean? You want to be mad and be like, these cornball, but then you also want to, like you were saying before, teach a lesson.
So you can't be petty. So the main thing I tell my kids is they don't owe me shit. That's it. Straight up. They don't owe me anything. I know what I'm doing. You guys know what we're doing. We know that it's good for society and for fathers. But that random lady or man that works for that company, they don't know us. They don't care. They don't owe us shit. And the kids start learning that because now you start attaching other lessons to it. So like when my son tells me, oh, we were playing basketball and XYZ never passes me the ball. He don't got to pass it to you.
Yep.
He has the ball. He's in control.
That's it.
And that's something that I do get petty with it sometimes. Sometimes I tell them like, yo, these people don't care about blacks and Hispanics. But it's because of the responses that I get from them that makes me feel like they don't care. That's just another learning experience where it's like, yo, you're not going to get everything you want.
Nope.
Like my son wants to be an NBA superstar. Chances of that happening are slim to none. He knows that.
It's a long road.
It's a long road, man.
Many
in this
free
game,
throws.
come on, man.
Free
you
throws at 4 a.m.
Yeah, yo, he got to be in the gym. Right? And that's why I tell my son, I'm like, yo, you want to play basketball, you got to be in the gym all day long.
Yep.
You're not doing that. So you can't be mad if Rich's son comes through and beats you.
Yep.
If he's there every single day.
That's it.
You know what I mean? So those lessons come. There are times, once again, I'm not perfect. So there are times where these kids will be like eavesdropping and they'll hear me talking to my wife and I'll say something really negative about a brand. And sometimes they pick it up and they ask me questions,
Yep.
But for the most part, everybody in my family, my kids and my wife, we all have this saying that if I get in the room with one of these executives that I need help from, my chances have just increased.
100%.
Because everything that I do deals with storytelling and the emotions that go with it. So when I sit down with the producer for ABC News, she's going to feel me. If we're talking on the phone, she might not.
Right.
And that's how my whole thing is to teach them to not kill it on the first conversation, but to get a second conversation, maybe a third conversation. And then you hit them with this is what I need.
That's it. The
mean?
old jab, 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 right hook.
Dude, I got shut down this week, man. I was doing there's an event coming up. I won't name them. Really dope event. Last year I went and I took my 3 kids, 2 of my kids with me. This year I signed us up. They sent us an invite to go. They said, hey, you guys were with us last year. We want to invite you. I signed them up. They kicked my 2 kids off of the list.
Wow.
The lady wrote back to me, prove to me that these kids are part of your influential program. Dude, I got so tight because all she had to do was look at my site. You look at my site, you always see my kids. They're at every single event that I'm at pushing fatherhood. They are my brand. I had to go back and forth with her, maybe 3 or 4 emails for like 2 or 3 days, to the point that she said, yo, your efforts are admirable, but I can't let them in. All right, cool. We'll be there. I'll be there. They took a L. This is an event that they really wanted to go to and they just can't be there. Sometimes crazy. It just doesn't fall your way. You know what I mean?
That's insane.
To me, it was insane because the lady vetted us last year.
Right.
Out of all the people that went there, we were one of the few people that actually created content for it. We're the only minority group there. All of these things are lining up to be perfect.
Yep.
But that's still not enough for you. But I know 3 or 4 other dads that are going that don't do shit. There's something else there that you're not telling me.
Yep.
But that's for me and her to figure out, not for my kids.
That's it.
You know what I mean?
There you go. All right. we're gonna switch gears and jump into the hot seat, which is our series of just rapid fire questions off the cuff. Some are gonna be some fun ones, some business ones, and we'll take it from there. We'll do reach one, teach one, and we'll wrap things up.
Let's do it.
All right. So obviously you run your business off your phone. What phone are you using?
Oh man, I got an iPhone 8s. I got two. Well, I mean, not an iPhone 8s. I got two iPhone 8s, plus sizes.
What do you like about them, and what do you dislike?
Man, I love my phones, man. The only thing I dislike about them is the price point.
Yep.
But I love it. Like I wish there was a way for me to use a headphone and a charger at the same time. That'd be kind of dope.
You gotta buy a dongle for that, actually.
So look at that. Apple's taking out money with the dongles.
Yep. You have to actually have one you plugs in, and then you could run the cable through and plug in a headphone.
Look at that.
Because they just force in Bluetooth. That's why.
Yeah. Everything they push into Bluetooth. So that's, but I love my phone, man. I'm straight up iPhone head. Had an Android, never going back.
Wow. Yeah. And you also, you run Mac and you use the Mac ecosystem too, right?
Yeah. So for everything else, I use my Mac. I have a MacBook Pro. I got an iMac machine. We got tons of iPads. I'm not gonna lie though, my default machine, whenever I just want to chill, is a Windows-based machine.
Really?
Yeah. And this crazy part about it is that it's two. I got two old ones. I actually have a XP edition.
Wow.
And I have, I think, a Windows 7 edition.
Okay.
And that I use for simple web browsing, manipulation of data files or whatever.
When you open your phone, where's the first place you go?
When I open my phone, first place I go to. Damn, man, this sucks, man. The first place I go is to Instagram.
Really?
Yeah, it's, the beauty of what we do is that dads are very prideful and scary individuals. They won't comment under your picture, but your DMs will be on fire.
Yep. I've DM'd you. I know.
Yeah. So every day I get at least like 15, 20 new DMs.
Wow.
Sometimes they're new topics. Sometimes it's people just telling me great work. Sometimes it's even business deals. So that's usually my first thing. I grab that and I go brush my teeth.
Nice. What's one website you recommend besides Cool for Dads?
Besides Fatherhood is Lit, Cool for Dads, man, for me it has to be anything that has stocks on it, man. I was a big fan of Yahoo Finance. Now I just usually open up like TD America and just leave the banner running. I think if you want to learn about money, one of the best ways to do it is to follow the news when it comes to stock.
Right.
Especially when people like Warren Buffett give you like a annual letter just full of gems.
Yep.
So I just go to business sites.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, man, they just give you gems after gems, and if you don't read it, you never catch them.
Well, on the subject of that, what's one stock that you've been eyeballing that you missed out on?
Netflix.
Really?
Yeah, Netflix. Netflix. A guy named Howard Linson online put, "I'm buying Netflix." I think it was like at 97 at the time. I thought I was a smart ass, and I said, "All right, cool. He's buying at 97. I'm gonna buy at 90." It never hit 90. A month later, it was like at 300. And right now, I think it's like between 2s and the 3s.
Wow.
And it's like, damn, that day I had just sold a lot of stock. So I had not a lot of money, but maybe like $6,000 that I could have bought of Netflix. And just think about it. It would have tripled.
Yep. You would have been cashing on the dividends, just chilling.
Yeah. Netflix. And then the other stock that I missed out on, believe it or not, I didn't miss out on it. I caught it, but I didn't know too much about stocks at the time, was Blockbuster. When
Really?
Blockbuster was folding, it went down to like $2.
Wow.
And I bought like $20 worth. Anybody that knows stock will tell you $20 worth is nothing.
Yep.
The price
Drop
went
in
up
the
to like
bucket.
maybe 40. I didn't make any money. I made like $100. If I would have dumped like 10 grand in there, I probably would have made like 60, 70 grand.
That's some crazy stuff.
I didn't know shit. I didn't know anything. So
I haven't messed with it. Like, I let like my office 401k, like, I let it auto balance every month, and that's about it. Just because I'm not, so outsource your weaknesses and optimize your strengths. I'm like, yep, I'm just not good at it. I'm like, as long as I got money in there for when I retire, I'm good.
Dude, and people do stupid things when the market crashes. Like when the market crashed, I remember all my coworkers selling everything. Like their 401ks lost like half of their value, and they sold everything. And anybody that studies the stock market will tell you everything's a cycle.
Yep.
So when we had the recession, everything dropped, but then 6 months later, you basically threw a dart at any stock and you made money.
That's right.
So I was sitting there 26 years old telling all these 50-year-olds, yo, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. a year later, I made more money than them.
That's insane. What's your favorite piece of tech besides your computer and your phone?
Oh man, right now it used to be my Fire Stick. Now I really like the Apple TV for some reason. I think it's pretty dope. I think it would be a toss up between my Apple TV and my Apple Watch. I'm just learning how to use my Apple Watch.
Right.
And every time I find something new, it's like, damn, this is dope.
Are you using the Series 3 or the 4?
I have a Series 3, and funny story, I got a Series 3, my son got a Series 3. And the reason we both got Series 3 was because I couldn't afford buying Series 4s.
Yep.
And I always told myself, I'm the tech guy. No way in hell my son's going to have a flyer device than I do. Yo, I'm not perfect, man.
There you go. Obviously hip hop being such a big part of our DNA, I'm sure it's playing in the background when you work, right?
Yeah, of course.
There you go. What's one hip hop artist that's always in your rotation when you're working? That's always in the soundtrack.
Wow, that's a real good one, man. To me, it's always Jay-Z. I've always been a big Jay-Z fan. I think a lot of his music is super motivating. And a lot of his stories are things that I've dealt with in one form or another. So when I need to get like real hyped up, it's Jay. And I start off with 22 Twos.
Nice. All right. Now, everybody always has a blast with this question. What's something you purchased recently that's less than $100 that's made your life either easier or more enjoyable?
Oh man. Every week I do that. And every week it's gas.
There you go.
Every week is gas for me, man, because I have a big truck and I need to go to all these events.
Gotcha.
So every week I fill it up, about $90 worth of gas, $80 worth of gas, and that one investment, that 1 week will give me memories for life.
There you go.
I think that's probably my biggest investment every week that I love.
That's the most unique answer I've ever heard. And a damn practical one though.
Dude, without transportation, I can't do none of the things I do.
There you go.
And I will not be riding the ferry every single day.
Hell no, that ferry ride is not for everybody.
Nah, not for me.
So obviously we talked about the tech side, got to talk about toys. What's one toy that your kids couldn't live without?
So for my middle child is Legos.
Okay.
For my older child, I'm gonna say it's his devices. I'm gonna treat iPhones and Apple Watches as toys
right.
too.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, that's their toys. And then my youngest one is anything that my other ones got.
Really?
So if they're playing with Legos, he wants Legos. They're playing with a device, he wants an iPad. He's at that Me Too stage. So he just grabs everything that they got.
What was your favorite toy growing up?
Man, I don't know if you remember these, but they used to have like these wrestlers that you could like stretch out.
Yep. Yeah, so the rubber wrestlers, the LJN wrestlers that they come with the big blue ring.
Yeah. So those were my favorites. Like I used to have a Hulk Hogan one that we used to stretch from one window to the door. Those and toy soldiers.
Nice. Like
the little green soldiers.
Yep, in the bag. That used to come in the bag.
Man, I used to have thousands of those.
Nice. Do you collect or try and reinforce for your kids that, especially now that toys have such a value, do you try and tell them like, hey, save these on the side, they'll be worth something, or you just let them open them?
So I let them open it. If I see a toy that I think is going to be valuable, then we usually try to keep them mint. But usually my kids get to them. They don't, even like Pokemon cards and all of that. We spent tons of money on that. They just played with them, drew on them, everything.
Oh man.
I treat materialistic things, even things that are collectibles. I don't treat them as everything. Like I used to love my sneakers and I used to always treat them really well.
Yep.
Now I got maybe 100, 200 pair of sneakers, most of them brand new that I barely touch.
Well,
so it was a waste.
It's funny because I had to throw in a sneaker question in there. Favorite pair of sneakers you own?
Oh man, to me, I got two of them, man. And one of them is the original pennies in blue. It was like electric blue sort of.
Yep.
Those and then the Iverson questions, the original questions, nice. Which I still have.
Now, with that said, what's a shoe that's on your radar that you missed out on that you wish you would have?
I still want those foam posits, the green ones. I forgot what they were called. They were Paranormans.
Yep, the Paranormans. Yep.
Yeah, that's a one pair that I had a pair. I gave them up. I sold them. I think it was for like $500 or something like that. Yep. And after I sold them, I was so tight.
Yeah, they're worth so much on StockX. I was like, oh
man. To me, it's not even the value. It was just I needed them for my collection.
Yep.
Like they were so hot, man. And, unfortunately I took the money.
Sometimes you got to do that, man. I went and I've been trying to, I tried getting some money off the sneaker game. I went and bought a pair of Drake Jordan 8s and I was like, oh, I'm going to sell these and make a killing. I didn't sell them until like a few weeks ago and I only made like $20 on them. I'm like, yeah, I ain't doing no more.
It happens, man. Like you never know what the market is going to dictate, man.
Absolutely. What's a company that people should look out for besides your own?
Besides, Cool for Dads, man, I wish I could say Time Hop. I loved what Time Hop was doing, but so many people are copying them.
Right.
I would say, that's tough. I would say Cheddar, man. I would say Cheddar is a news company.
Yep.
Financial company. I think what John has done with Cheddar is incredible. I think they recently just sold.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, I think the way that they changed the game was pretty dope. And one thing that I really liked about Cheddar was that a long time ago, Fred Wilson, who's a famous VC, wrote to John that Cheddar was the stupidest name he ever heard.
Oh my God.
That it was basically like a shot. Like you guys aren't going to survive because you got a stupid name.
Oh my God. It's like, who's laughing now?
Fast forward a few years and, the dude just sold his company.
There you go.
So I like the story behind it.
Absolutely. What's something that you had a negative opinion on that has changed?
Oh man, I guess it has to be something in fatherhood, man. Yep. And I would say, I had a negative opinion about these early events. Like one thing that I get a lot of heat from people is when I partner with a company and their event starts at 9:00 in the morning on a Saturday.
Right.
I used to hate that, man. I used to say, nah, there's no way I'm waking up. Now it's like my kid's already up.
Right.
If we don't do something, the day's a wash and they're going to harass me all day long anyway. So now I actually appreciate those 9, 10 a.m. Events because then I can knock them out real early, come back home. Usually they fall out for a nap and I can do my thing.
If you could have dinner with somebody alive or dead, who would it be and what would you talk about?
Man, Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett to me is still the GOAT. It's not about the money. I like the way he values companies, the way that he looks at companies and he says, this is the price tag that you got for it, but here's the real value of it, the intrinsic value. I love that he stands by his morals and he says, I'm gonna buy this stock. I believe in this stock. I don't give a fuck what y'all say.
Nice.
And usually he turns out to be right.
Being the father of 3 sons, what's been the most consistent piece of equipment or company that's delivered when it comes to providing stuff for your kids? Meaning, was it a company like Play School? Was it Fisher Price? Like, who's consistently delivered positive experiences for your sons?
Who will give the money to? Who will give the money to me, the one that provides the most diverse experience and the best experiences for my kids, physically at home would have to be Lego.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Lego, I never used to like Legos. I didn't grow up with Legos. I love them now because I get to see my kids actually get creative. Where one kid follows instructions, the other one tears the instructions up. And they both still build.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's pretty eye-opening. I hate stepping on those things, though.
No, man, there's nothing more painful than stepping on a Lego.
Yo, any toy. Any toy, man.
A year from now, where would you like to see Cools for Dads and Fatherhood Lit?
I would love to see us on a more national level. I won't say global level. I'll say more of a national level. I would love for companies like Nike or Sony or even Rock Nation, people that really focus on like the urban market.
Right. I
would love for them to throw events and say, yo, we need dads here. Call up James.
Nice.
That's what I would like. Right now I'm hustling for all of this and we get to do some really, really cool things. I would prefer to have a team of 5 or 6 people running these events and companies calling us.
That's awesome. So in a quest to always bring people value, the last part of the show is reach one, teach one. We want to give our listeners a piece of actionable advice. And for you, actually, it's 2 different questions. What is a piece of advice you'd give a first-time father?
First-time father, be there. Be there for everything. Meaning, the day that your wife or your mate, or if you want to just call her your baby moms, which is a horrible term, the day that they're going to give birth, be there. See the struggle. Like I looked at my wife when she was pregnant and I was like, man, this is a strong woman. I didn't know how strong she was until she squeezed my hand while giving birth. And I took all of that pain and I said, yo, if all I got to do is suffer for 5 minutes while she pushes, I'm good, because she's been suffering for the past 8-9 months carrying this kid.
There you go.
So when you're actually there, you appreciate it more. So that's my thing. Always, I won't give up all the paychecks for my kids to be at their events, but I will give up the majority of them. But if my kid is the real star of the show, you can't buy me away from that. There's no way. I won't miss it. And
the second part is, for someone that's willing to take a chance to jumpstart their dream like you did, not once but twice, what would you tell them? Oh, the simplest answer is always do it, right? But I'm gonna tell you how to do it without killing yourself. Okay. And the way to do it, if you're like me and you're worried about financials, or even if you have a family, is save up at least a year's worth of income. Meaning living expenses, whatever you actually spend in a month, whether that's rent, food, clothing, whatever, save that for a whole year and then chase the dream. And another advice that I would tell people is that you don't necessarily have to be free of a real job to start your company, meaning you don't have to quit your job to do it. Right. Like test it out on the side, but actually put in the work. Like everybody says, like I was one of those people that said, yo, I cannot work on my business and have a full-time job because I will get distracted by my full-time job. I had to quit, but I only quit because I had the money saved up. I had a wife who was working on her career and I had a home. Gotcha. If those things weren't in place, I probably would have been doing it from my job, from my desk. That's so it's almost like if you're not feeling like you're financially stable, which is you're never financially stable, right? Hell no. If you're not feeling it, do it part-time, but actually put in the work. Don't say, yo, I'm going to put in 4 hours a day on my business and only give an hour a day, because then you'll never get that progress that you're looking for. Yep. You'll be lying to yourself and you'll be lying to your business. Yeah. So it's always, go chase that dream, but do it within reason. Like, yourself best. If you're a financial person, save some cash, because the honest truth is you won't know if you could run a business so you actually run it. And you could attest to this. We could go for years and not make a dollar. Yep. But the payment comes in other ways. That's 100% right. Experiences. Are you ready to give up the payment in dollars for the payment in happiness? That's right. A lot of people say they are. They're not. 100%. A lot of them are not ready. Last but not least, where can people find you, keep up with the Fatherhood is Lit movement and Cool for Dads? So we're Fatherhood is Lit everywhere, on Instagram, Twitter. Our biggest platform is Instagram. That's where it seems like people are really writing out for us. So I would use Fatherhood is Lit on all the platforms. You can email me directly at james@coolfordads. That's COOL 4dads.com. I'm accessible. You might not get a response from me the same hour, but you'll eventually get a response from me. Right. I think that's the best way. To be honest, if you want to communicate with me, it's Instagram, man. I'm there all day long. There you go. All right, James, thank you for sharing the toys and tech of your trade and some great actionable advice on fatherhood. I really, really appreciate it. Man, thank you, man. I'm honored to be here, man, and I love what you're doing. Keep it up. You know how hard this is, man. We need people like you to stick around. Thanks a lot, brother. All right, that wraps up our interview with James Lopez from Fatherhood is Lit and coolfordads.com. We're going to have links to James' website and all his social media accounts in the show notes for this episode. So if you're a dad, you're looking for cool stuff to do, and you're in the New York area, definitely reach out to him. Let him know you heard him on this episode. I'm sure he would really, really appreciate it. All right, call to action time. First off, if you are checking out this show on iTunes, please take a moment and rate the show. We would really appreciate it. Helps us secure more guests by showing them that our listeners are engaged and are enjoying our content, or they're not. I mean, it is what it is. We can't always bring the heat all the time, but nonetheless, if you like what we do here, please take a moment and rate the show. We would really, really appreciate it. Now, social media, you can find us pretty much everywhere, but we engage most on Instagram and our Facebook group. And obviously, if you've been following the YouTube channel, you know that we've been engaging there quite a bit, especially in the aftermath of the Gary V video, which I addressed last episode. But nonetheless, a lot of great people came as a result of that video and got acquainted with our content. So we really, really appreciate all the feedback from all of those individuals. And as always, if you have anything else you'd like to add, feel free to reach out via those platforms, or you can email me, rich@rageworks.net or podcast@rageworks.net, whichever you prefer. All right, guys. Thank you guys for lending me a little over 90 minutes of your time this week. We will see you in 2 weeks. Hopefully we will have a brand new Rode Rodecaster mixer, which we will be debuting for the episode, and we'll probably also have a product review as well. We may be doing some gift guides, probably at minimum one for grads, only because I haven't been able to do one for Mother's Day, and it would be a disservice to do one for Father's Day after leaving the moms out. So we'll see what happens in the coming weeks, but nonetheless, a brand new episode of Toys and Tech of the Trade is heading your way in 2 weeks, dropping on Wednesday. As I said at the start of the show, the schedule is now moving towards Wednesday bi-weekly releases. That's going to wrap things up for this week. Thank you guys for checking out this week's episode of Toys and Tech of the Trade, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Peace.